beginning of his diary as a young kid.
Yeah.
He is practicing in front of a mirror the mannerisms of Cicero.
Ah, really?
Body posture.
Really?
He has no respect for somebody whose highest aspiration is to make money or to get wealthy.
Right.
There's a higher form of significance, which is to serve the public and to be remembered.
Right.
That's the key, to be remembered as a public figure whose behavior significantly affected policy. In this case, the winning of the American Revolution.
Yeah.
So when the imperial crisis begins really in 1764-65 with British legislation, chiefly the Stamp Act, Adams is looking for it, okay? He is looking for a cause to lash himself to, larger than himself. His father had wanted him to be a minister, and he went to Harvard, and at that time, most people became ministers, though they were starting now to become lawyers. A dangerous trend, I should say. And,
it has gone beyond all bounds.
And he had his calling to public service was like the calling of a minister to a cause that is also otherworldly. And but he harbored this obsession about the letters and about fame, in part because he really wasn't sure there was a spiritual life after death in the traditional Christian sense of the term. He and Jefferson and a few other people exchanged letters on this, and Adams's ultimate position is agnostic. Well, I don't know, but if there isn't one, I'll never know it.
Right.
He has a funny line that I think I have in the book. He says, if it can ever be shown that conclusively that there is no life after death, my advice to every man, woman, and child on the planet is to take opium, which is a great line. But it's only a person who does significant public service is worthy of being in the history books.
Right.
And the history books keep alive your memory, as well as the letters that you will also leave. So he wants us to remember him.
Right.
And in some ways, the fact that we're sitting here in Massachusetts on this day in 2011 confirms his fondest hope, namely that he will live on.
You say at one point that we are the audience for whom he was striving.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're in some sense complicitous in his greatness because he's performing for us. He's on his best behavior because he knows we're looking.
But you also said it took 200 years. Why did it take 200 years?
Because, and there still isn't an Adams monument in the middle of the mall or anything like there is for Jefferson and Washington, which would surprise that generation. They would be surprised, I mean, not that Washington was there, but that Jefferson was there and Adams wasn't. They would have reversed that. When the first public election after the Constitution was essentially a referendum on the founders. Who was the greatest? Washington was first, Adams was second. Partly, Adams is tough to make into an icon because he tells you too much about himself. One of the reasons the Supreme Court stays above it all, and one of the reasons that Washington stays above it all, is because we don't really know what they're talking about. You know, the meetings are secret.
Right.
And until recently, you didn't allow a camera in there, right?
I don't know whether you still can get a camera
There's
in
somebody
there.
petitioning for that for the case of the
C-SPAN is.
Yeah, the healthcare case.
Yes.
Adams is imperfect. He's vain. He's ambitious. He has a temper. He's also extremely lovable, extremely honest. He's a human being of considerable, interesting parts. But to the extent that we want our founders perfect, he's never going to make it on Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Now, of course, none of them is perfect.
Right.
And I think the resurgence of interest in Adams is a sign that we are finally matured and recognized that we can't be expecting perfection from our historical heroes. And just because they're capitalized and mythologized as founding fathers, we've got to see them as imperfect creatures. Great in many instances, but imperfect. Well, Adams is the breakthrough guy. He is the greatest and the most imperfect of them all.
Right.
And I think in the HBO series that was put together a few years ago, a miniseries, the depiction of him is very, very accurate. I mean, the characterization of him by Giamatti, the actor, is well done.
Yeah.
And he's a hero for our time at last.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.